My name is Jerry Magnuson, and I've been in the hot rod industry and magazine business for close to 45 years now. I got to know Jerry very well, and I'm honored to be here to talk about his nomination for the SEMA Hall of Fame. I went through the list the other night, and I know a certain skill set. Jerry Magnuson was spectacular in that he was the entire package. He had it all. He grew up on a farm where hard work, his work ethic was great. His dad taught him to be a machinist of sorts, and he just took it to the ultimate level. And when he became interested in racing, he applied for a job with Dan Gurney at All American Racers, and he was a crew chief on one of Gurney's Indy cars for a number of years. All the people that worked with him have a great deal of respect for Jerry. One thing that was very important to him with the industry was selling legal products. So he went to the trouble of certifying, 50 states certifying the majority of the kits, those that could be certified. He just built awesome products, and all the time he's doing that, he was also building his personal cars. He built a 32 Ford called the Magnitude, and it was a contender in the LA Grand National Auto Show. And if you look at the detail on that car and the innovation and the ideas he had, he ranks right up there with Art Christman and every hot rodder that came before him. He was truly a hot rodder at heart. And he always wanted you to do the best that you could possibly do. And all you have to do is look at Jerry's ex-employees and see how successful they were, like Brian Zacuto with Superchargers Online and Kevin McMillan's Hot Rod Shop. And see these guys, they took their skill set that Jerry mentored them, and they went on to do great things. But some of the great things he did for SEMA was he supported all of the manufacturers that worked with him on his cars and so forth. Like, he would put his cars in booths in the SEMA show whenever he could. He'd have his own booth there to tout his products. So Jerry was always a staunch supporter of SEMA. You know, I could go on and on for hours about Jerry, but I miss him, and I hope he gets serious consideration, because I know for a fact that he belongs in the SEMA Hall of Fame.
I'm Kevin McMillan. I own McMillan Speed and Fabrication. I worked for Jerry for about 13 years, and I was his 5th employee. It was Jerry and Maureen and Ed Tresback and I and Ed Lauer. And we started this little company when they were scraping pennies off the couch. And we just kept it going as a passion. Jerry attached everything that he did with a passion. He taught me how to be a weapon. I remember him saying, he goes, "Kevin, I'm going to turn you into a weapon." And to this day, the reason why I'm in business is because of Jerry Magnuson. He was my inspiration, and I was his perspiration. And we did everything. He would never leave anything left alone. That man wrung so much out of a day or out of a project that it would drive me crazy, but he strived for excellence in everything he did. He's absolutely the most talented man I've ever worked for. It was absolutely one of the best learning experiences I had in my life. And I use almost everything, or try to use everything good and bad that he taught me to this day. Yeah, I'm absolutely blessed to have worked around the Gurneys and the Kugels and the All-American Racing guys and all these hot rodders that they didn't do it because it became a big company. They did it because it was a passion. He should never be forgotten because of people like Iskandarian and people like that have brought so much to the plate. Dan Gurney, people like that are passionate when they race their cars. God, they make movies about him now in these things, and it's just one after another. And he's a part of that group. He's a part of that passion that I don't want him to ever be forgotten.
I know I need to be in there. Well, I just think the fact that he was at the forefront of all this boosted application stuff, he was the driving energy to bring this about in the industry. So, he's like a founding father there. He's the guy.
It was a game changer.
He's a game changer.
So do you think the aftermarket then was established by Jerry, or do you think he really sort of set the groundwork for that?
I don't think it would have been anywhere near what it is today if it hadn't been for him. Because all of a sudden you've got this guy selling this product that works. He had one of the first supercharged small block Chevys and the high altitude stuff. And
Right.
so he caught the concept early on.
Affordable power.
Yeah, and as the cars got newer, the demands for things like headers and camshafts and stuff had lessened a lot. The LS engine was already a good platform. So it just took off. And when it took off big time. Then it got involved in trucks. My neighbor over here had 100,000 miles on his GMC Denali towing a big boat.
Hello, I'm Ryan Falconer Racing Engines. Jerry Magnuson and I met at Indy many, many years ago, and over time we became fast friends. From that time on, I watched him build his supercharger business into a major corporation, a business built on his innovative design and seamless endless supply of ideas. When I had a need for supercharging applications in my business, Jerry was always there for me and gladly shared his knowledge and offered insightful suggestions. His eagerness and enthusiasm for his own projects was matched with any collaboration we did together. Jerry just loved making new and innovative things happen. He was passionate about it. Personal time spent with Jerry and Maureen was always a great pleasure for me and my family. Jerry was a wonderful person to know. He always had time to talk with his friends, and I'm grateful to say that I was one of them. His presence in the industry and in our lives is missed to this day.
My name is Steve Watt. I'm the president of Maxwell Industries in Ventura, California. I want to say when I moved here in '95, Duttweiler found out that I was a header builder, and there was no header builder in town. So I had done some headers for Kenny, I had done some headers for Ron Butler for some Dover stuff. Jerry found out, so I went and did some headers on one of his cars. I think the 57 was the first one we did, that Paul Newman car. And then we did the Mural. We did some of the header work on that, and I know Scotty did all the exhaust work on it. Turned out really nice. But Jerry, he's always been around town, and out of all the stuff he's been doing with the supercharger stuff, Duttweiler and him did a lot together, and I did all the fab work for Kenny at his shop.
How do you think he fits in that picture?
Well, I would think he would be a mainstay along with all the rest of them, and all the guys that put in the hard work, so get overlooked sometimes on what they really did and where they came from. They may just see this big name on it. Magnuson is a name, but a lot of people don't understand what made that. And here we stand in front of the speed team. Yeah, speaking about the SEMA Hall of Fame, it's something that is an honor to be in, and I think it's made for people like Jerry, who started as somebody who worked for a race team and then started his own business and learned the craft and did the trade and did everything from the ground up, and then ended up having a huge company servicing superchargers and selling supercharger kits all over the world.
Well, my name's Scott Lacey, and I think Jerry definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame at SEMA, because he's just one of the people, the key people in the industry. His contribution is just unchallenged in any part of the hot rod industry or any of the car building industry. He had a style that was unique, and I don't see of anybody that's copied it.
Hi there, I'm Mark Sternberger. I'm a car designer and an illustrator, and have been in the automobile industry for much, much longer than you even can think of. The vehicles that you see here, that is definitely the realization of Jerry's dream. I love the styling. It sticks out from all other cars, like a Twinkie in a Health Club, for instance. You look at this thing from different angles, it is so beautiful. As a car designer and a teacher, Um, I'd like to think I inspired a whole bunch of people, head of design or chief of design in the different automobile industry. And I'm still, after all the years, I'm still in contact with most of my students, former students, I should say. And they tell me I inspired them. And, you know, I have to tell you, Jerry did exactly the same to me. He was a great inspiration for me. And he will live on, for me, he will live on forever.
I'm Tom Roberts. Tom Roberts Designs is my company. I'm a pattern maker, engine designer. I've done a lot. And just talking about Jerry Magnuson, and he needs to be in the SEMA Hall of Fame. He's done all the work. It's just like he made the supercharger kit complete so that it would fit the cars and the people could put it in, and they weren't having to build 90% of it. The bolt-on package was there.
I've been a car hobbyist all my life. And coming to Santa Barbara in 1973, I got more and more involved in automobiles and the hobby, and branching out to meet different people. One of those was Andy Granatelli, and I'm going to draw an analogy between Andy Granatelli and Jerry Magnuson. And this might seem like an odd comparison, but actually I think it's quite unique in that Jerry made so many contributions to the hot rod industry. He was every year at SEMA. Jerry was always the guy in the background. He didn't care about promoting himself whatsoever. But what was important about Jerry is his contribution to the hot rod sport. And that contribution was as big as, let's say, Andy's, even though Andy was Mr. 500 and that was his total focus. On the other hand, Jerry was the SEMA focus, okay? He loved SEMA, he was there every year, and he was the guy who really started bolt-on horsepower. He was the man. So that was very significant, and taking a step further, he was the gentleman that you could call for your bolt-on horsepower and ask specific questions. Well, how do I do this? How do I do that? How much boost am I going to get? What kind of, and all those questions were answered by such a capable man that he, and you know, his experience goes so much greater and further. He was a fabricator. He was so many things to so many different parts of the hobby that it would be hard for any one person to really give you a total description of this man. I just can't say enough about the man. And you know, he was so gracious. You know, he would be embarrassed about the accolades that I would lay on him, but they're certainly deserved. And I just want this audience, and SEMA especially, to know how significant this man was.
My name is Fred Brown, and I am the Director of Automotive for Ames Community College. Jerry Magnuson was a supporter of the college and a supporter of automotive education across the years. In 2010, he joined us as a sponsor for our automotive programs and an information center for our students. Jerry cared about not only automotive and the aftermarket of everything that he did, but he also believed in sharing the knowledge and imparting the wisdom and the passion that he had for automotive, for performance, for the aftermarket, and for everything that he lived his entire life for. And that was a supercharged life for sure. His ability to cross the generations touched our students, touched the aftermarket folks, and we are proud to support his quest and the quest of both Maureen Magnuson and the folks with his groups and organizations at his nomination for admission to the SEMA Hall of Fame. A more caring individual, an individual who really truly inspired those around him to grow and to become part of what is an amazing industry, is just an outstanding tribute to the man. There again, we really support and hope that the folks making the decisions see it fit to put Jerry Magnuson on that supercharged track to the SEMA Hall of Fame.
My name's Jim Naylor. I'm the owner of Ventura Raceway. Kind of more important, I also own a company called Chain Designs. That's how I met Jerry. Had some people that worked for Jerry many years ago when he first started in Ventura, and they needed to have a program to do their advertising, do some stuff with Jerry, make pamphlets. So I said, well, I'm pretty good with Corel Draw. So I helped him with that. Got to meet Jerry. Well, that was the best thing that happened to me. I definitely think he'll probably be more famous. That happens to a lot of people that have been in the background. Jerry's been in the background a lot. I mean, Jerry figured out this little supercharger, which to explain to people, if you're a drag racer, you go there and they got a GMC basically off the side of a GMC diesel. They're two-stroke, and it was a 671 Bowler. Big deal, 671. I think they're 1471. That means they're huge now. That's what sits on top of Top Fuel drag strip. Well, Jerry built miniatures of this with Eaton's impellers, or whatever you want to Roots things. Okay. Jerry built those things. So he built the outside, and he did some magnificent engineering. And I think that's what Jerry's more famous for, is his engineering. I mean, I don't know if he had a college degree. I think Jerry was just like natural. He's just a natural. So I look sometimes, he says, well, you know, Jim, we can't drive it off the front. We're going to drive it off the back. The drive shaft's going to go through here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I said, Jerry, we got to make all new patterns, all new stuff. So when he made it, had the same inners, but it was all ingenious. He made it so it would work with Toyota. It would work with GM, which he sold a bazillion of for GM. Quickest way to get all that horsepower and pull your big trailer was to buy a Magnuson supercharger. And that was something that I think as time goes on, people will realize Jerry's legacy went to fixing a problem that was fairly easy to fix, but nobody figured it out, and Jerry figured it out. My name's Jim Naylor, and I really believe Jerry deserves to be in the SEMA Hall of Fame because of his innovations with hot rods. And I think he probably should be in just about every Hall of Fame that I could ever think of because of his contributions to motorcycles, his contributions to IndyCar racing, short track racing, drag racing. I think Jerry was a big influence, and I think when people find out how cool Jerry was, and actually how nice a person the person was, I think that they'll really realize that they should have done this many years ago.